Now Samuel the prophet had died. All Israel had mourned him and buried him in Ramah, his own city. King Saul had forbidden consulting with ghosts and ancestral spirits in the land. The Philistines assembled. They came and camped at Shunem. Saul gathered all Israel, and they camped at Gilboa. When Saul saw the army of the Philistines, he was afraid, and his heart trembled greatly. But when Saul inquired of Adonai, Adonai didn't answer him, not by dreams, not by Urim, not by prophets. Then Saul said to his servants, "Seek out for me a woman who consults ghosts, so I may go to her and inquire of her." His servant said to him, "There is a woman who consults ghosts at Endor." So Saul disguised himself, put on other clothes, and went there, he and 2 men with him. They came to the woman by night. Saul said, "Consult a ghost for me, and bring up for me the one whom I name to you." The woman said to him, "Surely you know what Saul has done, how he has cut off consulting with ghosts and ancestral spirits in the land. Why then are you laying a trap for my life to bring about my death?" But Saul swore to her by Adonai, "As Adonai lives, no punishment shall come upon you for this thing." The woman asked, "Whom shall I bring up for you?" He said, "Bring up Samuel for me." When the woman saw Samuel, she cried out with a loud voice, and the woman said to Saul, "Why have you deceived me? You are Saul." "Do not be afraid," the king said to her. "Tell me what you see." "I see a divine being rising up from the ground." "What does he look like?" "An old man rises up. He is wrapped in a cloak." Then Saul knew it was Samuel, and he bowed low in respect, his face to the ground. Then Samuel said to Saul, "Why have you disturbed me by bringing me up?" Saul answered, "I am in great distress, because the Philistines are warring against me, and God has turned away from me and doesn't answer me anymore, either by prophets or by dreams. So I've summoned you to tell me what I should do." Samuel said, "Why then do you ask me, since Adonai has turned from you and become your enemy? Adonai has done to you just as he spoke by me. Adonai has torn the kingdom from your hand and given it to your neighbor, David. Because you did not listen to Adonai's voice and carry out his fierce wrath against Amalek, Adonai has done this thing to you today. What's more, Adonai will give Israel along with you into the Philistines' hands. And tomorrow, you and your sons will be with me. Adonai will also give the army of Israel into the hands of the Philistines." Immediately, Saul fell full length on the ground, filled with fear because of Samuel's words. And there was no strength in him because he'd eaten nothing all day or all night. The woman came to him, and when she saw he was terrified, she said to him, your servant has listened to you. I've taken my life in my hand and listened to what you've said to me. So now you listen to your servant. Let me set a morsel of bread in front of you. Eat, that you may have strength when you go on your way. But Saul refused. I won't eat. But his servants, together with the woman, urged him, and he listened to their words. So he got up off the ground and sat on the bed. Now the woman had a fatted calf in the house. Quickly she slaughtered it. Then she took flour and kneaded it and baked cakes of unleavened bread and put them in front of Saul and his servants, and they ate. Then they rose and went their way that night.